Good evening, folks, and welcome to the Horror Corner. I'm your host, Sean Patrick Gershon, and this is KillStream. And what this is basically is just a random live stream, just to hang out with you guys. If anybody has some questions for me, or you want my thoughts on anything horror related, or film related in general, or you could talk about some of the other things that I do on my channel, like pro wrestling I talk about on my channel, heavy metal music I talk on my channel, rock music, whatever. Anything you guys want, it's thought it'd be fun to do a random chill stream or kill stream. And this isn't something I do too often. I'm usually have things structured when I do a live stream. I'll do something about a specific topic, or do a watch along for a specific movie, or I do the horror hangouts live stream with some of my other YouTube buddies, and talk about specific things. Or the morbid hour, we have specific topics and things. We talk about heavy metal as well as horror and stuff. We have our little shtick, and I just thought it'd be fun to try something a little different. Just do an open discussion, live stream, anything you guys might want to talk about. If you've seen a good horror movie lately, or you have any good horror recommendations, it'd be something I would like a recommendation on is a good 80s slasher movie that I haven't seen before. Because I know that's a tall order. I've seen a lot of them, but I haven't seen all of them. I'm not like the horror man. He's seen every slasher known to man. Um, but yeah, if you guys have any like kind of obscure 80s slashers that you think are good, you want to recommend, that'd be fun too. Or any obscure or um, underrated horror films that you think are good, you want to make a recommendation, that'd be fun. Yeah, just hanging out here on YouTube land, Just doing a chill horror stream. Anything you guys want to talk about? If you guys want to come hang out with me in the horror corner. Yeah, so if you guys want to discuss anything Halloween related, you guys know I'm a huge Halloween fan, or like Hammer horror. I love to talk about Hammer horror. It's one of my favorite things, or our favorite horror actors, scream queens, or whatever you guys want to talk about. Your favorite kill scenes in a slasher movie, or slasher movies in general, or whatever. Now's your time. Now's your chance, folks. If you want to shoot the shit with Sean Urshan at the Horror Corner, come and hang out. Okay, guys, that's weird. I just got kicked off of my own live stream. Anyway, this is KillStream. Just a random hangout, shoot the shit kind of thing. Anything horror related you guys want to discuss, or anything that I might do on my channel if you want to discuss, like pro wrestling or heavy metal music, stuff like that. Yeah, so let me say, I am excited to go to a horror convention coming up called the TerrorCon, and where I'm going to be meeting none other than Robert Englund. So excited, I got I got my photo op and my autograph ready to go for him. I can't wait. I'm so excited. It's a bit pricey, as you might imagine. This is Freddy Krueger we're talking about himself, Robert Englund. Such a huge horror icon. Obviously he's done a lot of stuff outside the Nightmare on Elm Street series as well, of course, but obviously he's most known for, probably the biggest horror character of all time, Freddy Krueger. Who's bigger than that? I can't think of anybody. I mean, yeah, you got Michael Myers and Jason Voorhees and all them people, but I think Robert Englund is the biggest horror icon of all time, because of the fact mainly that he talks. You got your silent killers in a lot of these slasher movies, but um, Freddy is the slasher killer that talks. Hey, we got Strange Monkey in the chat. How's it going, man? Welcome to the Horror Corner, and this is KillStream, where we're just hanging out, random impromptu stream. Had some time on my hands. Anything you guys might want to talk about, horror related or whatever else that I talk about on my channel. If you've seen a good movie lately, doesn't even have to be horror. If you've just seen a good movie lately, like say you saw the new Guardians of the Galaxy, how was that? Something like that. I do love me some comic book movies too. Anyway, yeah, so very excited about TerrorCon coming up in September, and that's going to be in Marlborough, Massachusetts. So if anybody's in Marlborough, Massachusetts, and you're on YouTube or you watch the show, I'm going to be there. I don't have a booth or anything, because I can't afford that kind of thing. I would love to do that, though, have a booth set up at the horror convention. That would be so cool. Sell me T-shirts or something, just have a live stream there or something, maybe an interview with one of the celebrities there. That'd be awesome. I would love to do that. But can't really afford that, honestly, but it's a dream someday. Maybe one of my big dreams is to throw my own horror convention. I'm talking if I hit like the lottery or something. That'd be like my biggest dream it'd be to have my own horror convention with all, maybe a lot of people from Halloween, a lot of the actors from the Halloween franchise, maybe some of the surviving people in Hammer Horror. Then there's not too many of them left, but I would love to have that, like a Hammer Horror panel, with people like Carolyn Monroe or any of the surviving people. Like Martine Beswick is still around. Madeline Smith is still around. There's a few of them still around. That'd be so damn cool. And a lot of those people I just mentioned were also in James Bond movies too. So that'd be cool too. You talk about James Bond, talk about Hammer Horror. That'd be so awesome. Yeah, I'd love to have a lot of the Halloween, actors like, obviously Danielle Harris and people like that. Probably wouldn't shoot for any of the big timers like Jamie Lee Curtis or anything. And she wouldn't do it anyway, but Jamie Lee Curtis would be probably my ultimate photo. Like if I got a photo op with her, she'd be like the biggest. I actually do have her autograph, but it'll be so cool to like meet her. Although, I was kind of disappointed recently when Jamie Lee Curtis met up with Danielle Harris and Scott Taylor Compton, and they kind of had a bad experience, and that kind of disappointed me about Jamie Lee. Sometimes they say never meet your idols because they don't live up to the image that you project of them. Have you guys had any bad experiences with a celebrity? I've never had one. Anybody I've ever met was always real nice. And some, of course, are nicer than others, but I've never met someone that was like an asshole or anything like that. Not even close. I will say my best experience in meeting a horror celebrity was Felissa Rose from Sleepaway Camp. She does any convention you see, she's always like at them. And she was so cool, you know. She was so bubbly and fun and happy and just cool to be around, you know. And she's so into it. She loves the fans and she takes her time with people. She might tell a few jokes, you know. She's just so cool. I love Felissa Rose. She's definitely the best experience, the most kind-hearted and fun, bubbly person I ever met. As far as any celebrity I've met. Pretty good. Cool to meet Robert. Oh, you did meet Robert England, huh? Nice. Super cool. Yes. Very excited about that. I can't wait. And there's a lot of other cool people there too, like Melissa Rose, I think, is going to be there, and Danielle Harris is going to be there. Scout Taylor Compton's going to be there. Let's see who else is going to be there. Mick Foley, for some reason, is going to be there, the wrestler. Um, a lot of people from the Elm Street series. Not only Robert Englund, but Heather Langenkamp. That's huge, right? I do have Heather Langenkamp's autograph on the Nightmare on Elm Street poster, and obviously I'm going to have Robert Englund sign that too. So you got the two pillars of Nightmare on Elm Street on one poster. That's just the ultimate right there. There's going to be a lot of other people like Lisa Wilcox from Elm Street 4 and 5, and let's see, Kim Myers from Elm Street 2. I think I'm going to meet her too. I definitely would like to get her autograph. She seems really cool. From Elm Street 2. Highly underrated Elm Street 2, I might add. It's a pretty controversial one, isn't it? Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2. It's like some people love it, some people hate it. It's like kind of polarizing. I, for one, love it. It's super underrated for me. I think it had the darkest version of Freddy Krueger and the best version of Freddy Krueger. He was menacing and evil and demented and scary, you know. But he still had some great one-liners, some classic one-liners, like, you know, "You are all my children now." Yeah. How awesome is that? "You've got the body, I've got the brains." Awesome stuff. Nobody jumps out of the floor, the pool scene when he slashes everybody, and that scene is awesome. What do you guys think is the best version of Freddy Krueger? And don't tell me the remake. But who knows? Maybe some people, the remake of Nightmare on Elm Street is their favorite movie in the series. I've never heard that before, but who knows? To each their own, you know? Like, to me, there's really, when it comes to horror and remakes, I'm not a huge remake guy by any means. 9.99% of the time, I like the original the best. Always. I never liked the remake better than the only case that I can think of offhand where I like the remake better. Actually, there is a couple. Is Invasion of the Body Snatchers. That's sci-fi horror, but still, I do enjoy the remake of Invasion of the Body Snatchers more than the original. I feel like it did everything better. It was scarier, it was weird, it was creepy, the effects were fantastic. The practical effects were great in that movie. Um, excellent cast. The acting is fantastic. You got Donald Sutherland, Leonard Nimoy, Jeff Goldblum, Veronica Cartwright with a fantastic cast, and they were all great. Um, and I love the original. I love the original Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Is great, but I always felt like the people, like the pod people, could have been done a little better. They could have been scarier. They weren't quite emotionless, like they were in the remake. I think I did a better job with that. They were creepy. They were weird. They were they were cold and emotionless. And it was much scarier. What's another one is only because I wasn't a huge fan of the original. I'm gonna say Amityville Horror. I mean, it's not a great movie, but I thought it was more entertaining than the original. Only because I thought the original is very overrated. It's really not that great, in my opinion. But it's very slow. Nothing much happens, and I know a lot of times in movies that less is more. But in this case, I wanted to see some stuff, I mean, talking about a house that's supposed to be haunted with these demons and then just buried on the top of the Indian burial ground. And, it's a famous story that happened in real life, this house where this young guy murdered his family with a shotgun. That's the true story of Amityville. So that's why I like Amityville 2 much better than the original. The Possession um, is by far my favorite in the Amityville horror franchise. I know now you got freaking Amityville in space or whatever the hell they're doing. I have no idea what's going on with that franchise. But yeah, anything after that is just like whatever. I mean, Amityville 3 is watchable, if just to see young Meg Ryan, before she got famous. um, it's kind of entertaining because it had 3D effects. That was one of these. That was a time when they were doing all that a lot. The third films like Amityville 3D, Jaws 3D, Friday 13 Part 3 3D. Um, But yeah, after 3, just forget about it. I have zero interest in anything after that. I mean, 3 is just fun in a campy way, but I actually like Amityville 2. I think is an actual good, scary movie. I mean, it's really good, actually. I mean, I'll granted it does kind of turn into kind of an Exorcist knockoff towards the end there, but it's still really good. um, and it's more based on the true story of what happened with the DeFeo family, and the young kid that killed his family while he was sleeping with a shotgun, And of course, after that, you had George Lutz and the Lutz family moved into the house, and they had all kinds of paranormal activity and voices in the house, and all kinds of ghosts and evil entities. And it got so bad that it supposedly possessed George Lutz himself too, and the whole family lost their minds and just ran out of the house, and that was that story. And that's what the original film is based on, the Lutz family. And I just felt it just could have been done a lot better, it was just slow and boring, and not a lot happens, and I felt in this case you needed to see some stuff, and you don't really see a whole hell of a lot in the original Amityville Horror. But that's just my opinion, I remember when saw it as a kid, I thought it was scary, but nowadays when I look back at it, it's not that good. And I thought the remake was pretty fun with Ryan Reynolds, and we did see a lot of the stuff that we didn't get to see in the original film, and I thought it was pretty good. I thought Ryan Reynolds was good in it, It was solid. It had some good creepy moments. Granted, it was very modern style horror, and like kind of like the typical ghost movie in a way, but haunted house movie in a way. But I thought it was entertaining. It wasn't anything special or great, but I enjoy it more than the original film. That's only because I don't hold that film in high regard. As I don't really hold it as a classic. I don't hold it sacred as a classic, the original Amityville Horror. I don't really think it's a classic. I think it's a decent horror film, but nothing to write home about. What do you guys think about the original Amityville Horror? Or what do you think about these crazy, like, knockoffs or whatever the hell they're doing? You're just slapping the Amityville name on movies and just, just throwing anything, just putting out any old movie and slapping the Amityville name on it. It's like Amityville Shark, Amityville. Like, it's just, I don't know they're doing. What is that? You just think you're gonna make a quick buck just slapping the name of Amityville Horror on it? Oh man, I don't get it. Oh man, Amityville in space. Oh God, Lord help me. So, what are you guys' thoughts on Halloween? Where do you think it may or may not go in the future? Is there a future for Halloween after Halloween ends? After what we saw and Halloween ends, do you think there's a future? If so, what would you like to see? What would you? How do you feel the Halloween series could continue, if at all? Do you think it should not continue? Um, and that's kind of where I'm at, to be honest. I'm okay with this being the end, um, because it should be. It's called Halloween Ends. It should be the end, and it felt like an ending to an era anyway. The end of an era being the Michael Myers franchise. All right, guys, I'll be right back. Just gonna hit the little boy's room. But folks, all right, guys, if you're just joining us, this is Horror Corner presents the KillStream, just a random stream where we're just talking, shooting the shit about horror and having fun. Just kind of an impromptu stream. I thought it'd be fun to do, just to hang out with you guys. If you have anything you want to ask me about horror in general, any horror flicks you might have seen recently, or recommendations you might have, or what might you guys like to see on my channel that I haven't done already, or maybe you want to see more of certain things I've done, you know. Like I really enjoyed one I just did called the top 10 Peter Cushing roles, and you know, I kind of did my little tribute kind of imitation of Peter Cushing, and I thought that was a lot of fun. Hey, what's up, Full Moon 1973 in the chat? So we got Full Moon 1973 in the chat. We got Strange Monkey Reviews. Welcome to KillStream. Kind of just a random horror stream, but anything horror related you guys might want to discuss. How's it going, Full Moon? How you doing? So yeah, as I was saying, is there anything you guys might want to see more of in my channel that I've done recently? Like, I do enjoy like playing characters sometimes, or doing voices sometimes. Like, yeah, recently I did Peter Cushing. I did my little tribute to him. Recently I did Freddy Krueger. I thought that was a lot of fun. I've done several videos as Michael Myers. I've done, you know, a lot of the Dark Fate. You know, love doing that. It just brings something different to the table instead of just doing kind of reviews and stuff. Sometimes I like doing stuff like that, or making little. I've made little short films sometimes, once in a blue moon. You know, I am well, thank you. Yeah, I've done little short films. Probably my most ambitious little short film was the Fall of the Dark Fate, or whatever. And I brought in some other people from YouTube to be in that. That was so much fun doing that. That was a blast, and yeah, it was quite a kind of an ambitious project. You know, I've never did anything in that scale before. Just like done little stuff in my room or whatever. I've never done anything that kind of big before, so I hope to do something like that again. I thought that was a lot of fun. Um, yeah, I love playing characters and stuff. If you guys want to see more stuff like that, I hope to do more stuff like that in the future. Um, I have a lot of reviews I want to do, you know. Yeah, so like I was saying before, if you guys had any suggestions, horror films you want me to check out, maybe I'll check them out, you know. Oh, thank you. I enjoy doing it. Who knows? He might show up again. He tends to show up around Halloween time, you know, because he is the ghost of Halloween. So, you know, we usually keep it to that. Halloween comes around, that's when it's Dark Fate time. He is my nemesis after all. He's on my shirt here, actually. Right there, see? You guys seen Evil Dead Rise yet? What'd you guys think of that? You think it was worthy of the Evil Dead franchise? I enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty good, actually. I feel like the Evil Dead franchise is in good hands if they keep going with that, you know. I mean, there are 3 Necronomicon books apparently, so you could do a whole trilogy out of that, you know? Separate stories just involving the Book of the Dead and the Deadites. That's all you need really to make an Evil Dead movie, really. I mean, Ash kind of had his time, you know. We all love Ash and Bruce Campbell, but you know, he's kind of getting older now, and you know, we always have the original trilogy to look back on, and of course, you have the TV series Ash vs. Evil Dead to look back on. Have I seen Two Witches? Little indie flick that came out last year. No, I have not. Good one, huh? By the way, I do mean to review that movie you sent me. I am gonna work on that. I know it's been a while, but yeah, I do want to do a review on that one you sent me. That was quite an experience, and that'll be interesting to talk about. 'Cause I do like doing some obscure films sometimes, you know, and not just focus on the mainstream movies. It's always nice to throw in like an obscure movie here and there, you know. Open people's eyes to it. Like just recently, I did a review on Martin, and that's kind of an obscure, like, it's not a widely known George Romero film. You know, it's not one people talk about too much. So I was I was excited to do that one because I think it's a fantastic movie and it's something that should be talked about more. You know, like people need to check that movie out. It's awesome. You know, because when you think of George Romero, you always think of Night of the Living Dead and obviously Dawn of the Dead and all that, and rightfully so. Of course, those are amazing movies. That's what he's known for, the zombie guy, and of course, Creep Show too. Creep Show 1 and 2. That's another one that's super underrated is Creep Show 2. I love Creep Show 2. It's very underrated. You don't hear enough about that too. Yeah, absolutely. Everyone check out Gutter Balls. Very wild one. Very wild movie. I enjoyed it though. I thought it was a lot of fun. It's crazy though. Very over the top, crazy. Nothing wrong with that. Oh yeah, check it out again, man. It's such a good movie. And I had never seen it before until recently. Like I never saw it back when it came out or anything. I finally checked it out on YouTube one day and I was like, wow, this is a really good one. Like I was blown away. So creative and interesting. Definitely a different way to present the vampire genre, you know. Something unique. And it was very creative and artistic for George Romero. You know, he was kind of doing his own thing. One of the most shocking endings in a horror movie that I can think of. Seen any others recently? Full Moon, 1973, that you might recommend? I know you're a big Texas Chainsaw fan, right? What did you think about the new Texas Chainsaw film, the one last year that they came out with? In a way, I kind of enjoyed it as a slasher movie, like Leatherface, the slasher killer. I think it works in that aspect, but it doesn't work as a Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie, really. But if you looked at it as just a slasher movie, it works. It's got some nasty kills, Leatherface is still intimidating. I like the guy that played Leatherface. It was pretty good. Very, tall, big, burly, intimidating guy. Yeah, well, me, I'm not a huge modern horror guy. I'm definitely an old school guy when it comes to horror, but here and there I check stuff out. Like I was definitely hyped for Evil Dead and stuff like that. And it's always cool to when you hear a lot of buzz about a movie that came out recently. I'm like, oh, people are talking. Let me You should check this one out. If there's a lot of buzz about a new horror movie, I'll usually check it out. But I don't just randomly check out modern horror movies, really. Not too often, anyway, unless someone kind of really recommends it highly. Yes, exactly, exactly. That's how I feel. As a slasher movie, it worked, but it didn't work. Like you didn't have like the family element in there, really. That you always get with the Texas Chainsaw franchise. Though it's always about kind of the family. It's not just Leatherface. But in this case, it was something different. It was just a Leatherface, really, but and that's was kind of cool too. But it was missing that family dynamic. And what a wasted opportunity for bringing Sally Hardesty back. What a waste. Like they could have did so much better with her character. And it almost felt like disrespectful in a way. And it's not even the fault of the actress that played her was fine. I didn't have a problem with her, but they just didn't do enough with her character. She should have been more important to the movie, to the story. Oh, you haven't seen it yet, huh? Yeah, check it out. You should check it out, definitely. In the theater, too, before it's gone, because it's a good theatrical experience. And it's funny because I don't really go to the movies for horror all that much, unless it's something big like Halloween or whatever. Evil Dead, I thought that was big, so like I really need to see that. A Scream, I'll always see those. Oh yeah, right. Yeah, I had no problem with her, and she fit the part. It's just like, really, what, you know? And to kill her off like that and such a, yeah, that rubbed me the wrong way for sure. Everyone seems to hate the ending too. I don't know why. Why do you think that is? I thought it was pretty cool, actually. It was pretty brutal when she chops the girl's head off at the end with the saw. I liked it. That was funny. Like, oh shit. Do you think they'll continue with that? Netflix, like, you think they'll make a series out of that or anything, or make another sequel like that? I kind of have my doubts because it wasn't very well received. I don't think there was enough behind it to warrant another sequel. What do you think? Do you think they should just leave the franchise alone at this point, or do you think they should do another sequel to that one, or just start something new? What do you think about? Do you think there's still life left in the old franchise, in the old buzzsaw? Is there life left in the chainsaw? Not sure. I'm not sure. I don't know where else they could go with it other than rebooting the whole thing again. I don't know, but they already did that, and they did a solid job with it with the remake. I thought it was good. Wasn't I mean, I thought it was solid. It's one of the better horror remakes, the Texas Chainsaw one. Is it anywhere near the original? Hell no, but to some people it is, but not me. No way. But I even like the prequel one, the Texas Chainsaw, the beginning. I like that one too. I might even like that better than the original. It was so brutal. Not better than the original Texas Chainsaw, but better than the remake. Maybe. It's all about the money for Netflix. Yeah. I think the right person could do another good sequel, but you have to have love the characters. Yeah, exactly. But who else was there that's memorable other than Leatherface in that particular movie? Those other characters are kind of disposable, really. I mean, you could just bring them back to hack up another new generation of people, new characters again, whatever. I thought the mask looked pretty cool, and I thought the actor that played Leatherface was pretty good, pretty intimidating. He looked awful young, though, but that's supposed to be the same Leatherface from 1974. He looked awfully young because there was a scene where you could see his face and stuff. Like, this guy looks like he's 25, 30 years old or something. But yeah, Texas Chainsaw, very underrated, very uneven series, I would say. There's some that I just don't like, straight up don't like, and then there's ones that are good, there's ones that are okay, and there's the classic, of course. And I know you don't like part two, but I love part two. For me, the remake is second to the original, the prequel falling third, and 3D being fourth. You like 3D? I didn't care much for that one. What about the Leatherface, the other prequel, the Leatherface, the one that came out after 3D? I watched it recently, and it actually wasn't all that bad. It wasn't as bad as I remembered. I enjoyed some of it. It was cool having some of the characters from the original, like Drayton Sawyer. And they could have did more with it, but and I didn't like the reveal of who he was really too much, but Like, what? That's him? I mean, I suppose it was shocking in a way, but like, that's not the guy you expect it to be. I suppose they pull the wool over our eyes, not being the typical type character you expect Leatherface to be. Leatherface is a good movie, but a bad Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie. Yeah, yeah, you're probably right about that. While you're here, Full Moon, what do you think? Do you think the Halloween franchise could continue as well? Do you think where where do you think it could go? What would you like to see, or do you think it should just end with Halloween ends? As I said before, while I wasn't a huge fan of the movie, really, I appreciate the fact that they had the balls to end it that way, though. I do give them credit for that. They stuck to their guns. You had such a bold name. I remember when I first heard that they were gonna call it Halloween Ends. I was like, "Ooh, wow! They're gonna have the balls to do it." And they did, and I was shocked. I was really shocked. And I liked that part of I liked that about the movie, that they had the guts to do that with Michael Myers. Um, could have been done better, yeah, definitely. I feel like the movie could have been a lot stronger, where this was the final movie. I didn't think it was the right place to kind of introduce this whole new character and do this whole new storyline with this guy that's never been in the series before. It was different, and I don't mind them doing something different, but when it's supposed to be the last epic final movie in the franchise, it was weird to see them do something so different like that. And it was tough seeing Michael so weak like that, and in such a weak state, and beaten down. uh Weak version of Michael Myers, beaten down old man Michael Myers. It was weird seeing that. Like, seeing him be so vulnerable was different. It's definitely different. I did like the idea of him having the Corey as like the kind of the sidekick, is showing him the ropes. I thought that was interesting. They could have, if they had done more with that, I could have been on board for that. I thought that was interesting, but they didn't do enough with it. The full moon says, I think this should be the end of that set of ideas and that branch of the franchise. They can always come back to a different point or even do something new. Yeah, that's true. You think they could go back to, like, some random point? Or you could continue from 5 or 6 or 4 or whatever. H2O, or ignore resurrection. So, there's a lot of places you can go with it if you wanted to just pick up from some random point in the franchise. Or do a Halloween threes with Michael Myers as if he was in it instead of the season of the witch, or do another one of those, another anthology. Yeah, yeah. I want to see Danielle Harris back. Maybe as the killer, even could be interesting. Now that she's grown up, see a grown up Jamie as the killer could be interesting. I think, or at least her coming back to the franchise. Maybe having one more square off with Michael Myers. Or oh yeah, and I think people would be into that. I do. Well, you could even do I don't know, a Rob Zombie Halloween 3. Yes. Rob Zombie Halloween 3, like they were supposed to do. Or they could do the movie they were supposed to do instead of Halloween 2018, the Halloween Returns. I wanted to see that, you know. I probably would have rather seen that than what they actually did with 2018 Halloween Returns, and the stuff they were going to do with that sounded interesting to me, having Michael Myers on trial and stuff. That would have been cool. And that would have been crazy. But a TV series, I think, could be interesting too, where you could explore all that kind of stuff. But that might be, copying Crystal Lake at this point. I wish they would have did that before Crystal Lake, because now they got the Crystal Lake series doing the prequel series on Friday 13th franchise, which I'm very excited for, though. I'm really interested in to see what they're gonna do with that. And they got Adrian King coming back. That's gonna be cool. I can't wait to see that. Because I want to see more Pamela Voorhees too. Because I love her. I love her character. And I'm a huge fan of the first movie, which I know is rare. And most people love Jason and they love, all the movies from two forward, which I do too. I love Jason. I love all those movies too. But I love the original, I think Friday the 13th is just a great slasher movie, one of the best slasher movies. It's a perfect example of 80s slasher. With such a full, conclusive end, now they could do an anthology story as long as it's a solid movie. Yeah. And they could either continue with, or they could even remake Season of the Witch, or they could continue that story, or they could do just a whole new random Halloween related story related to the season of Halloween, not Michael Myers, which could be interesting. Which would be fine at this point if they just did random Halloween stories. Now that they've done the whole Michael Myers thing, they've done it to death. They've done it enough. We've seen enough of that, I think, at this point. I'm okay with them moving on with something else or even not doing anything else. I'm okay with that too. You know, I would have liked a better final movie, but I'm okay with it being the end because we have enough to look back on. We have 13 movies, for God's sakes. That's enough to last forever. You can always go back and watch 13 freaking movies. Why does it have to be anymore, really? I mean, I know Halloween is a cash cow, it always makes big money in the theaters, and it's a money train. There's no doubt about that. just a big franchise, you know. There's a few here and there, but yeah, it's pretty rare. Most people love the final chapter or Jason Lives or yeah, or part two even. I'm a huge fan of part two too. Part two is easily my favorite sequel, but I know I'm kind of in the minority there too. You know, most people love the final chapter or part six, um, those are great too. But to me, two is way better than any of the other sequels. But that's just me, you know. The first two, and I'll tell you why, because they're actually scary. You know, like that's the thing is the first two Friday 13th movies were serious horror, you know, for the most part. And right away when you get to three, it's like all of a sudden it's like campy now, you know, and like corny in a way. I didn't like that. That's one of the reasons why part three is one of my least favorite because it changed the tone of the series going forward. You know, now it's campy. You know, oh, I love part six. I mean, don't get me wrong. You know, that's a great one. Even five is a blast. I have a good time with part five, A New Beginning. I think it's pretty underrated. I love the characters in part five. Yeah, but six is my favorite representation of Jason, I think. I think they did Jason the best in that movie. Like he was awesome. He was just the perfect Jason. And I had some cool character. I like the characters in that movie too, like the sheriff guy, the Megan, and good characters. And Tommy, of course. I liked Tom McLaughlin as Tommy the best out of any of them. Even better than Corey Feldman. I liked it had some good humor in there, but it always still stayed a solid Friday 13th movie too. It wasn't just like silly stuff. I love the part with the, when Jason walks into the cabin and all the kids are in there. That was pretty scary, we never seen anything like that in the Friday 13th movie before that. Actually seen the kids in danger from Jason, what's he gonna do? Is he gonna kill somebody? Is he gonna kill these kids? That would be seriously messed up. Yeah. Yeah, it's too bad she just died too. Yeah, I love Ethel. Those are great characters right there. Hilarious. There's some funny shit in part five. I think part five might have the most kills too. One of the yeah, at the moment, yeah, we are talking about Friday 13th. Oh hell yeah, I love part two. Yeah. But as I was saying, the full moon, the tone was so much darker in the first two movies. It was a serious horror, That's what I loved about them. They was scary, and I loved the chases and the yeah. Yeah, that's probably true. He probably did have more kills in the remake. And of course, in part two, you had Ginny. She's such a great character, like the best final girl. Very happy to meet her. Got her autograph. Got my picture with her. That was awesome. Amy Steele. Yeah, one of the things I love about the original Friday 13th is the tone. The is great. I mean, the atmosphere is great in the first movie, big time. Love that scene in the rain. When the girl's outside and she hears the voice, thinks it's a child, thinks it's Jason as a kid outside, as some kid outside, and in the rain, in the dark. That scene is scary, man. Like, help me! Help me! I need help! That's a great example of excellent atmosphere in a horror movie. And I mean, let's talk about the ending. I mean, there's one of the greatest jump scares of all time when when Alice is in the boat and you hear that music. Everything is great. She survived. There's beautiful music playing. She's like touching the water and soaking in the fact that she survived this nightmare, this horrible nightmare, and boom, Jason comes up from the lake and pulls her down. Of course, they ruin that in the next scene, but I always wonder why the hell they did that, presenting it like it was just a dream that Jason pulled her under the water or whatever. Then he's still there, then he's still there. Man, we didn't find any boy. I mean, I suppose it's open to interpretation that maybe he is still out there or whatever. But they didn't even need to do that scene. They could have just left it at she pulled him on, she pulled her onto the lake. And that's it. Then you could leave it off there, or you could do part two like they did. Yeah, right, exactly. The decap. I always find it funny though in that particular scene when you see the hair on her arms and stuff. Because Tom Savini did that stunt, you know. He played her getting the head cut off or whatever, and that's why it's like a man's arms or whatever. But still, it's pretty awesome. Then in part two, you see her head in the refrigerator. uh, right. Yeah, I mean they kind of leave it open, but still, I didn't think that scene was necessary. It would have been perfect just to leave it right there. Oh, is his assistant? I thought it was actually him. Because he did do that a lot. He like played the killer for the stunt in a lot of the movies too. Like the burning, he did like a scene where they light him on fire and stuff. Plus, if they had left it like that too, maybe would have made more sense. But yeah, part two is the first horror movie I ever saw that I can remember anyway. And it scared the crap out of me. And that was like the first scene um, I saw was when Alice is in the apartment and she hears all the noises, and then she opens the refrigerator and sees Pamela Voorhees' head in there. That scared the crap out of me. I was like, oh my god. I was just a kid, I was just a little kid then. That freaked me out. That really freaked me out. And I loved horror from there on in because it not only did it freak me out, but it kind of intrigued me. And then from there, I saw Halloween, and then the Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies. Yeah, but apparently Savini cut off the fake head with the machete, but his assistant Tasso's hands you see on the screen. I see. All right. Nice little tidbit from Drum Smash 88 on the original Friday 13th. How do you guys feel about Friday 13 Part 3, Hallie? To me, to me personally, it was a huge drop in quality and in tone. Right away, you hear that disco song. It's like, oh, this is something different now. It's going in a different direction. A campy, kind of goofy direction now. It's not as serious. Ain't nothing wrong with having them dropping the knowledge, man. I love that. And since we're discussing Friday 13th, might as well talk about the final chapter because most people, why do you think most people say that as the best Friday 13th? I never understand that because I like it. I think it's a solid, Friday 13th movie. Absolutely. And you got, the great effects from Tom Savini. He came back to do the effects on part four. But I just don't get why that's the best one. Why is that the best? Like, because it's still like the typical Friday 13th, really. And I really don't care for the characters in part four. They kind of annoy me. Like, especially Crispin Glover. I can't stand his character or his buddy, the goofy stoner guy. I can't stand those characters. They're annoying. Just goofy and silly, and I don't get it. I don't get why people love it so much. But yeah, the end is really good. That's when it gets really good. When the chase is on with Corey Feldman and his sister and all that. It's kind of in the middle, yeah. It had kind of the cheesy, 3D effects, which they obviously they hadn't mastered it by then, like you do, like you see it now. Back then, it was kind of a hokey thing, Put your 3D glasses on, you got the one side's red and one side's blue, and gives you a headache. Oh, so you think it was underrated? I agree. People are just in love with baby Corey Feldman. I liked him. He thought he was fine. It kind of gave a little bit of different element. This child taking on Jason. I thought it was cool. It's all this cheesy like camp counselor characters that annoy me. Like, well, actually, they're not camp counselors, but they're just cheesy fodder for Jason. I don't like them. And there's parts that kind of just drag, But the ending is pretty badass when, the whole chase scenes are really good. That's the part I like about it, is the last like 20 minutes gets pretty badass. That's it. There's a few really good kills too with the corkscrew thing. And Ted White definitely was a really, really good Jason. And my favorite Jason is part 6. Yeah. I really like CJ Graham as my favorite Jason. I thought he was just like the perfect Jason. Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. The ending is kick ass. Yeah. The effects too, the gore effects, when he gets stabbed in the head with the hatchet and his face like slides down the blade. That's awesome. Gotta give him that. I hate Kristen Glover. And no one else is memorable in a good way. Yeah, exactly. Everybody remembers the stupid dance that he does, and like so freaking. To me, it's cringeworthy. I hate that. I'm like, no, why are you doing that? To me, that's up there with the dance scene in part Nightmare on Elm Street 2. When the guy does the stupid dance in the middle of it. But people love it. I don't understand. It's so stupid. Yeah, I met him too. He's awesome. You're a dead fuck. That's stupid. But it's the opposite with part 5. I mean, I love all those characters. They're really quirky and funny, and the girl doing her funky dance and the the crazy outhouse scene when he's talking about the enchiladas and the Reggie, little kid. I like all those characters. Ethel's hilarious. It's the opposite of part 4. I actually liked all the characters in 5, A New Beginning. It's just wish it would been actually Jason. It would have been better, but maybe not even that it would have been better, but if they had handled that part of it better, the reveal who the killer was, there's really no build up to it. It's very lackluster, the reveal of the killer in 5, and like the guy's in 2 little freaking scenes, and it was like, really, that's the guy? It's so like disappointing. It's kind of hilarious in a way, though, when you go back and look at those scenes with Roy, and you're like, yeah, that's true. Could have been a better final girl, yeah. But when you go back and see that scene with Roy after he finds his son got killed, the paramedic guy, and you see him just like look up the screen and with the evil look. I'm like, how did I not know that that was gonna be that guy? Because it's so like obvious when you go back and look at it. But it's kind of hilarious. About part 7, The New Blood. I used to really like that one back in the day, but yeah. Yeah, I thought he was pretty good. I didn't have He had some depth to him. You could tell he was kind of traumatized by the events of dealing with Jason and all that stuff. I'll be right back, guys. Yeah. Kane is sometimes your favorite Jason. I do. I kind of have mixed feelings on 7. I kind of like it, but it could have been better. Like, obviously, the biggest problem with 7 is it was so heavily cut. It was so heavily censored. Like you didn't get to see those awesome kills. Like you can tell a lot of it was off screen, and they trimmed the gore out. There's very little gore in it, really. Like, especially that weed whacker scene with the doctor, like that would have been the most satisfying kill like ever. But they just show him swipe him once quick and then that's it. There's nothing. It's like, oh, it was so disappointing. Yeah. I definitely think 7 was his best performance as Jason. Especially the look of him was awesome. The way he looked, the way he's decaying, and you see his skeleton, you see his spine and his back and stuff. That was pretty sick. It's all torn up and beat up. Yeah, I know. I wish they could, but I guess they're lost. The uncut scenes are lost. It's never gonna happen, unfortunately. It seems like. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I thought the girl played Tina was pretty good, but in a sense, it is a little bit cheesy, though, in a way. Carrie versus Jason, but they had a pretty awesome battle at the end. No one has ever manhandled Jason like that, really, the way she did with her telekinetic powers. She messed him up, man. She did a number on him. It was kind of fun, but definitely downhill for the series from there. I mean, the remake is okay. It's not bad, but actually, there's some things that I think are bad about it. But as a whole, it's all right. I like some things about it, but yeah, I don't like Jason X at all. I do like Freddy versus Jason, but don't like Jason X or Jason Goes to Hell or any of that at all. Yeah, Terry Kaiser, right? Bernie from Weekend at Bernie's. Yeah, what we saw was pretty good, yeah. As far as those scenes too, Tina using her powers and stuff was pretty well done. And the makeup effects on Jason too are pretty awesome. When you see his mask get smashed off, and that was pretty sick. Awesome makeup job there. Whoever did the effects on that was really good. Was it John Carl Buechler? I think he directed that movie, but I'm not sure if he did the effects. But they did a great job with the makeup on Jason in Seven, and his overall look was badass. And Kane Hodder did a pretty solid job on him. It's too bad that, Kane Hodder is so well known as being Jason, but he's in like the four worst movies in the series, pretty much. Too bad he didn't get to be in a good Friday 13th movie. Guess part 7 is as close as he got to a good Friday 13th movie. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, as a Friday 13th movie, it's like, I think the concept is pretty interesting, but as a Friday 13th movie, it's definitely off. What do you guys think of the remake, 2009? Man, it seems like a long time ago now. And we haven't gotten a new Friday 13th movie since. For a long time, I thought they were just going to do a sequel to that one, but it never happens. Yeah. It seemed like it did all right, that they could have just done another one, but too much time has passed at this point. But I like Jace. I liked how they handled Jason in the remake. That's the best thing about it that I can say about it is Jason was handled pretty well. I like that they kind of made him more realistic, more human. But he's still brutal as all hell. And some awesome kills in the remake too. Of course, when you get into the characters, that's where I have problems. As with a lot of the Friday 13th movies. If it was a different killer into some voodoo like stuff, they could have had a new franchise. Interesting. Well, I'll have to see what happens with the series, how that goes. I'm very interested to see what they do with it. Because the makers of the series, as far as they're saying, is they could pretty much do whatever they want. Um, but I'm not sure if they can use Jason in the hockey mask. But they could still use Jason, I think. And they said they got all kinds of plans for him. We'll have to see how it goes. I'm sure at some point we'll get another movie too. At some point. But who knows? Maybe it'll just be the series, and that's the case. I'm okay with that too. Depending, as long as it's good. Derek Mears was awesome as Jason, but the movie just didn't feel like it had the heart of the originals. It felt too cash grab. Yeah. Well, that was the era of the remakes, wasn't it? And they kept doing all the remakes of all the 80s slashers. And that was just another one. Yeah, you're right. It did feel like a cash grab in a lot of ways. And I didn't like how they just kind of mashed together like the first three movies or whatever quickly, you know. I felt like they could have spent a lot more time with that. They could have did more with Pamela Voorhees and some of the part two stuff. They could have did more with that. I'm not sure about how I feel about the beginning where it was like 20 minutes long of the introducing all these characters and then they just get killed off and then they start a whole new bunch of characters. I mean, yeah, those pretty awesome kills, but it was just weird how they did that. I suppose it was different, but such a long intro, but then it's like, oh, now here's the real story of the movie 20 minutes later. What do you guys think they could do with a new movie if they do a new movie? Where they could go with it? I'm not sure, but should they just remake the original movie, like actually remake it, and not just do like a reboot? Hey, what's up, Mr. Dan and Horror in the house? What's going on? We got Mr. Dan Horror, we got Full Moon 1973, and we got Jump Smash 88 in the chat today. Welcome to the Kill Stream. Just a chill stream. We're just hanging out, talking about horror, random stuff. We've been talking about Friday 13th specifically, but I like the sequence, but yeah, it just felt like a fan film stuck on to pad the runtime. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. But yeah, Derek Mears was really good as Jason, definitely. One of the best Jasons. I mean, he was intimidating. He moved quickly. He wasn't just like Kane Hodder, like a zombie walking around. He was for real. He'll go right after you. He was powerful, and even though he was just a human, he was still like super intimidating and unstoppable. Even though he was more humanized, and I kind of like that. I like that he had you know, I like that he was kind of a survivalist, and that he had his little underground layer there. He took all his victims, made him almost like a real life serial killer kind of thing. But yeah, and then it was definitely cashing in on the remake trend and going for the money, making the money off the name of the franchise, just like all the others. But anyway, I hope they do resolve all the legal issues and that they can come out with an actual movie at some point. I mean, I would be just like Halloween. I would be okay if they didn't do any more movies because we have 12 movies to look back on, and we do have the series, and that's official. So I'm okay with that, if they just focused on the series and nothing else, and that's fine by me. But if they do make another movie, it'd be cool. See what else they could do with it. And I think it would be a big return, if done right, it'd be like, oh shit, Jason's back, wow, I think it would definitely be huge because it's been so long. People are like the Friday 13th fans are just like fiending for another movie at this point, chomping at the bit, I'm sure. Yeah, yeah, exactly. He's a rugby player, huh? Nice. Yeah, he was brutal, man. But I never really thought there was a bad portrayal of Jason. That's one thing you can say about the Friday 13th series is everybody that played Jason was good. There was nobody that was just like terrible. They were all they were all good. Yeah, a couple were better than others, but there's no bad portrayal of Jason. Similar to Halloween, there's really no bad Michael Myers, but there's definitely ones that were better than others. Like, definitely my least favorite portrayal of Michael is probably Chris Durand in H2O. And a lot of that has to do with the masks. They had 6 different masks they used in the movies, which is crazy. Even a CGI one. I can't believe that happened. How did that get on screen? How did that happen? Good God. They actually put a CGI mask of Michael Myers in a movie. What the hell were they thinking? How did they think? no one was gonna notice that? It just boggles my mind. How the fuck did that end up on the screen? Like, you let that happen? Really? Oh my god. But yeah, just his portrayal was just kind of like bland. I think he just didn't really have it, you know. He wasn't scary. He was just kind of doing what all the others did and didn't bring anything new to the table. I know, right? And you're in the era of the early 2000s, which is bad CGI time. Actually, it was late 90s. H2O, what? Yeah, because Resurrection was 2000. What was H2O, like 97, 98 or something? Still plenty of bad CGI at that time. But it's just so funny that they use 6 different masks, and you can tell too. Like, at one point, it was the same mask from part 6. Which, why didn't they just keep that? You know, that was a cool mask. A lot better than the main one they used, which was that crappy cutout. You could see his eyes so clearly. You know, the main mask they used was probably the worst one outside the CGI one. But yeah, that hampered his performance a lot. Just the fact that they used so many different masks. But even outside of that, I just didn't. He just wasn't that effective, especially where he got his ass kicked so much, so easily. You know, he was like a pushover Michael Myers. You know, like, come on. He was like the guy in Scream. You know, just getting tossed around. You know, like, this is a Michael. Stumbling around and shit. But I do think James Jude Courtney was excellent as Michael, for sure, in all 3 movies. Even the third one, even though I don't like how they portrayed the character in Halloween Ends, I still feel like James Jude Courtney was really good. You know, it's unfortunate that he had to go out like that, but you know, it's just so frustrating. Halloween Ends to me because it's got a lot of potential, but there's so many things about it that just like frustrate me. You know, like, come on, the kid did so much better with this. You know. Ugh. Especially how they handle Michael Myers being weak and broken down, and I mean, in a way, it makes sense that he's that way, but it's like, come on, it made for a lackluster ending. Yeah, it's because he was kind of a pushover. You know, he was pretty much done. He was in his at his last legs. You know, on his last legs, he didn't have much left in the tank. So the fact that Laurie was able to take him out that easily was pretty kind of rough, you know. And granted, Allison did come in there at the end and help her out, but still, I don't even think she needed help by that point. He was already done. He was already all done. Stick a fork in him. But how they dispatched of him, I thought was well done, and I liked the way they did that. Having the whole town come out and witness it, and carrying him out on top of the strapped into the top of the car, and and the people carried him, threw him in the incinerator. That was brutal. Oh man, I'm like, yeah, don't think he's coming back from that. It's kind of how I feel about most of the Halloween franchise. Well, the great high points, the lows are more obvious. Yeah, it's a good point. There are a lot of highs and lows. Yes, I'm not gonna deny that. I'm not gonna deny that. As big a fan as I am, you're right about that. Because when it really comes down to it, the ones that I truly love are the original and part two. Anything after that is just kind of okay and fun, and they vary from good to bad to, I mean, they're always entertaining, and I'll always go out to see them no matter what it is, but the love for me is in the first two films. I mean, and you look at someone like Dave McRae, who's such a huge, you think he's looked at as such a huge, massive Halloween fan. But really, the only one that he truly loves is the first film. Rightfully so. To me, the first film is the masterpiece. But it's like the new trilogy. Yeah, it's all right. It's watchable. It's got a lot of issues, but I have a lot of good time with them. Even the last one. But are they great movies? No. I have a lot of issues with them. 2018, I have a lot of issues with Halloween Kills. I have a lot of issues with it. To me, the most fun to watch is Halloween Kills. Like, I have a good time watching that movie. Just the carnage and the blood and the nasty kills that's the fun part of it. I love Michael and Halloween Kills, just freaking destroying people. I have a good time with that. I like that. But then the bad stuff gets in the way. It's like, oh, the story part of Halloween Kills gets in the way, and it's like cringeworthy, and the dialogue is cringeworthy. Gets in the way, you know. And that's the case with a lot of them. The bad things get in the way of what could be a good movie. Yeah, so I'm not gonna lie. There's a lot of issues with all of them outside of the original, and part two. I don't have a lot of issues with. I love part two, but you guys know how I feel about Halloween 2. But I always will go out to watch them. I'll always go to the theater to see them because I just have fun with it. It's my favorite franchise, my favorite horror franchise. What do you guys think about Elm Street? Do you think there's any more life in the Elm Street franchise? Could they do another one? Do you think it should be all new, or do you think they should try and get Robert Englund again for one last time? And I don't know. I do want to see it continue. I want to see more Elm Street movies, definitely. The franchise deserves to live on, I think. At least give another remake a shot. try it again. They didn't get it right the last time. Maybe they could just try it again. Do another remake. The all new cast, new Freddy. 1, 4, and 2 are the best. 4 and 2 are mostly equal, and I enjoy Rob Zombie 1 after the breakfast scene anyway. After the breakfast scene. What's the matter? You don't like Ronnie with his trash and talk? Michelle, my belle. I have all kinds of issues with the Rob Zombie movies. But there are things I like. There are certain things I like about them. Both of them, yeah. Yeah, I like Michael Myers in the zombie movies, how brutal he is, and the brutal kills he's very intimidating. Obviously, he's huge. He's like freaking almost 7 foot tall and larger than life. He's very intimidating. All right, guys, I'm gonna wrap it up tonight. I gotta get to bed. I gotta get to work in the morning. But it was great chatting with everyone who joined me in the chat today. Thank you for joining me in the Kill stream tonight. A lot of fun, impromptu kind of stream, and maybe I'll do it again sometime. Thought it was a lot of fun. But have a great night, guys. Thank you for joining me, Sean Patrick Urshan, in the Horror Corner. Tune in and stay scared. Have a great night, guys. Peace.